All right, peeps. From the delicious to the ugly. It's been the story of the day. I've been following it since yesterday because I'm mildly obsessed with it. I loathe James Comey, and I do not believe that he is a good faith actor. Not only that, I believe he is a sincerely, sinisterly bad faith actor. Yesterday, he puts out a tweet, which now I'm sure you've all seen because pretty much everybody's talking about it. I put up a vlog yesterday, a fishing vlog, and I actually caught a beautiful peacock bass while we were doing it. He puts out a tweet yesterday that says, I'm almost reluctant to say the words because I don't want to look like I'm encouraging it, period, full stop. But he put out a tweet that said 8647. And it's so laughably stupid that when I first saw the post, which was an Instagram post, or at least I didn't identify it as an Instagram post, but it was a post he put on Instagram where it was 8647 in the sand, and his caption on it said, "Interesting rock formation I found at the beach," or something along those lines. I'll find the original post in a second. And I said, no, this post can't be real. There's nobody stupid enough to actually do this. And lo and behold, he actually did it. 8647. Now, why is this shocking? First of all, there's something very interesting about it. Yesterday in particular, and I can't take credit for this knowledge, yesterday in particular was 8,647 days since 9/11. Call that, it's not a coincidence because you cannot have a coincidence like that. Literally, you look it up. I can't do the math, so I grokked the math and then Googled the math. And the math is the math. It was 8,647 days since 9/11. Okay. If you don't trust me, go look it up. 8647. I mean, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. I feel like we're going in circles here. You remember when Gretchen Whitmer did that Meet the Press interview, and in the backdrop, sleuths noted that there was 8645 in the backdrop. Gretchen Whitmer, in the backdrop of her interview, had 8645. Let me just pull up a picture here. You got to see it because it might refresh your memory. What amazes me is that there's people who don't remember this. Right there. Gretchen Whitmer did a Meet the Press thing, and it looks like a whack. I don't even know what it is, because how do you get something that looks like that? It looks like it was either two candles, like 86 and 45, or they had something made. 8645 in the backdrop. This was in 2020, and the internet went mad at the time because people rightly, astutely observed that 86 is, if you operate in the diner industry, it's nix it from the menu. If you operate in the clubbing industry, it's kick out the client. If you operate in the mob industry, it means 8 miles out, 6 feet deep, or to kill somebody. Period. Go to look it up on Urban Dictionary. At the time, if I recall correctly, it resulted in something of an edit war on Wikipedia, where Wikipedia, from what I recall, but I don't know if I can believe my recollections of the time, were stealth editing the definition of 86 in that context off of the website so that when people looked it up, it would no longer say 86 means to kill somebody, mob slang. It has always been that for decades. Whether or not it has another use, which I'm sure it does. So we had this discussion when Gretchen Whitmer put up 8645. Some people were defending her, saying, no, it doesn't mean that. It just means to nix from the menu because it's an election and we want to nix them from the menu. But we had that discussion. Some people are too young to remember it. Some people weren't paying attention back then because it's already 5 years ago. But we had that discussion. James Comey is not young enough to have not been part of that discussion. He's not young enough to have not been aware of that discussion at the time when it happened. So James Comey puts out this tweet, this Instagram post, and then it starts receiving some backlash. Don Jr. puts out, just a tweet that says, just the former head of the FBI casually calling for people to murder my father. James Comey then, by the way, I got to highlight the Krasenstein brothers' replies to this. The Krasenstein brothers, at one point you might have given them the benefit of the doubt. There's no more benefit of the doubt. These kids are rapacious pieces of shit, period. Like I was inclined to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe people give them a bit of a hard time. Maybe they're not paid shills. Maybe they're whatever. In the wake of it, they take to Twitter and, hey, look, it's forever. Krasenstein, Brian, one of the two twin brothers, puts out 8647 him now. This is what needs to happen. Trump's cabinet members need to immediately conspire together behind his back to 8647 him. They need to come up with a foolproof plan to make sure that their plot is a solid one and work together in a way that will save America via, I stopped screen grabbing after that. Then Ed Krasenstein puts out a tweet and says, it's time, 8647. Then Ed Krasenstein puts out, in response to his own tweet, James Comey is right. Talk about the flipping idiots hearing the dog whistle of their master. James Comey is right. 8647 is the way to go. It should become the new rallying cry for Americans who are sick and tired of the U.S. Constitution being torn up. It should be a rallying call for Americans who are fed up with their current administration's corruption. The right wants it to be some nefarious symbol, just they wanted Abrego Garcia's tattoo to be. They want to demonize anyone who thinks Trump is toxic for this country. 8647 equals get Trump out of office. It has nothing to do with violence. Cope. Oh, really? 86 definition. Eject someone from a bar. Reject or discard. Let me see where the Merriam-Webster. Let's see what they do here. Slang term comes from a wide variety of sources. The military, the newsroom, and the arts have all provided to be exceptionally fertile grounds for the creation of new words. Yada yada yada. At the launch counter, first appearing in the early 1930s, referred to a soda fountain or lunch counter that had been sold out. Shift to verb uses. In the 1950s, the verb underwent a functional shift and began being used as a verb. The initial meaning as a verb was to refuse to serve a customer, later slightly extended meaning to get rid of or throw out. The word was immediately yada, yada, yada. Now we're going to get to the, what is 86? It should be noted that despite the fanciful story given above, the etymology of 86 is unclear. Yada, yada. Now we're going to get this one here. Here, among the most recent senses adopted is a logical extension of the previous ones with the meaning of to kill. We do not enter this sense due to its relative recency and sparseness of use. This is when you know that you can no longer even trust the Merriam-Webster dictionary. It's a use that goes back to mob times, in mob films. Ask anyone over 50, maybe they'll know, maybe they won't. It's clear as day what it means, or at least that it has dual meanings. So James Comey puts out the tweet. His two lapdog jackasses say, James Comey's right. Well, even James Comey didn't think that he was right. You want to see if you believe this crap? I mean, so this, by the way, let's just back it up here. This is James Comey. This was the post before the 8647. He's on a beach reading his own book. James Comey, FDR Drive. What's his new book about? Sorry if you've already heard this because we talked about it at the vivabarneslaw.locals.com after party yesterday when this was breaking. What's his new book about? FDR Drive is a legal thriller by James Comey, the third in his Nora Carlton series, set to release on May 20th, 2025. It follows federal prosecutor Nora Carlton and investigator Benny Dugan in New York City as they confront a rising wave of far-right extremism fueled by online disinformation. The story centers on their efforts to stop a radio and podcast host, Samuel Buchanan, who uses his platform to spread lies and incite violence, leading to hate crimes and unrest. We can stop there. That's James Comey's book that he's reading on the beach of wherever the hell this is, right before he puts out this post. Cool shell formation on my beach walk. Cool shell. Now, by the way, because I'm something of a sleuth, and because I know that James Comey is a lying sack of human filth, he didn't come across this. He put it there. You're right. I'm engaging in that loser think. I'm imputing intentions. I'm making an assumption. He didn't stumble across 8647 in shells, by the way. If it means to kill, Merriam-Webster, and he's posting it in shells, what else is a shell a double meaning for? Oh, you get your seashells, and you've got your casing shells. Oh, Viva's gone crazy. He's connecting the dots all over the place. He didn't come across this cool formation. He made it. So set that aside. I was trying to be a little sleuthy. Look at his shoes. Like here we can see a footprint right here. It looks like a little square pattern because if you look at the bottom of his shoes, man, I went deep yesterday. You look at the bottom of his shoes, these are pretty clear patterns for the shoes, the sole of his shoes. So I went here and then I was looking right up here. And then I actually did like an enhanced contrast. I couldn't come up with definitive proof that this was his actual footprint. But one thing I can tell you is he's probably got proof on his cell phone. I probably think, hypothetically, this might not have been the first photograph that he took of it. Maybe he took the photograph in live mode so we can get some other relevant evidence. 8647, which can also mean to kill, according to Merriam-Webster, but they won't get into that because apparently it's a new definition. It's not new. In shells, and he says, cool fellow shell formation. I found, oh, okay, well, apparently when he got the blowback, because the head of the FBI, by the way, the former director of the FBI, doesn't understand code, doesn't understand slang, doesn't understand internet jargon, doesn't understand dog whistle calls to violence, because, you know, it's his first day. He deletes the post and then puts out this. I posted earlier a picture of some shells I saw today on a beach walk, which I assumed were a political message. I didn't realize some folks associate those numbers with violence. It never occurred to me, but I oppose violence of any kind, so I took the post down. What a steaming load of shit that he must take people for idiots. Like, I've always said this. Kids, let me take this part out and people can agree or disagree with this. Kids are kind of assholes. Like they're kind of assholes in that they're selfish, self-centered. They don't understand that there's a universe beyond them. And I say this, everyone loves kids. They're born kind of self-centered and don't appreciate how the world works. So they're kind of assholes, but they're kids. So they grow out of it. You teach them that, you know, life is about not just yourself, about other people. They're kind of assholes because like they think they can get away with lying to you. And they think that adults are as stupid as kids are. They think that adults are as naive and premature formed as their brains are. And so they think they can just tell you stupidities. Like, oh, they got chocolate all across their mouth. I don't know who ate the chocolate. They're assholes, but they're kids. When they really become assholes is when they grow up to think they can get away with the same shit that kids think they can get away with because they think everyone around them is stupid. I was just on a walk on the beach and I came across a cool rock formation. Hey, cool clock, Ahmed. You want to come to the White House? And you want to know why it begs seriousness. Because when I went through James Comey's Instagram feed, and I went all the way to the back, and I wanted to get the smoking gun. I wanted to find hard evidence that that stupid lying son of a bitch, who is a child that never grew up to be told, we're not stupid, James. We weren't born yesterday. I wanted to find the smoking gun, but I couldn't. But what I did find is pretty damn good evidence that James, he must be the luckiest person on earth because it seems that he has a propensity of finding political messages on shells on the beach when he goes for walks. It's crazy. It's absolutely wild. Here's another one from James Comey. Saw this at the beach. Ariel understands the assignment, and it's a shell with Vote Harris written on it. This one was from October 10th, 2024, right before Kamala Harris lost the election. Saw this at the beach. Cool clock, Ahmed. Do you all remember the cool clock, Ahmed? That was the kid named Ahmed who brought a clock to school that he made himself that looked oddly like a bomb. And then when they called the authorities, it turned into like the biggest race, religious Muslim hoax scandal at the time, where people said they're picking on this kid Ahmed just because he's Muslim and he's an entrepreneur. He built his own clock at home. That freaking thing looked like a bomb, and I would argue deliberately so. And then you get Obama coming out and saying, "Cool clock, Ahmed. You want to come to the White House?" Like Obama, another child who grew into an adult that operates on the basis that people are stupid. That he can sit there and lie to people with impunity. If he says it with a charismatic enough smirk on his face, people will believe him. Well, you know what? It worked. Cool clock, Ahmed. Well, this is James Comey. Hey, I saw this at the beach. Ariel understands the assignment. Your mission, should you choose to accept it. Well, here. What was the assignment in this one? I want to get the full thing. What was the assignment, Mr. Comey, in this one? Do you think your minions are going to understand the assignment? 8647? Cool shell formation on my beach. This man thinks we're stupid. This man thinks he can come out and say, I just came across some shells on the beach. I saw it. I assumed it was a political message. What a weird thing to think. You see numbers on a shells on the beach and you assume it's a political thing, but you don't know what it means. You must think we're fucking idiots, James. And you've been busted so hard that you come out, oh, I don't approve of violence of any means. So I took the post down. I hope my minions, the one who hear the dog whistles, understand the assignment. Hey, Krasenstein, how does it feel to be abandoned by your leader? Yeah, James Comey is right. Oops, James Comey pulled down his post. Now you're stuck on the internet with 8647. Everybody on earth knows what it means, period. And some jackass morons on the, well, David, it has two meanings. Or one's a diner to you're out of a menu, you're out of an onion, you're out of an item. The other one's a club, so you want to kick out the patron. The other one's a mob hit, and you want to kill somebody. 86 them. It's very nice. Yeah, I'm sure James Comey worked in a diner. I'm sure James Comey worked as a bouncer at a club, and he wanted to eject a rowdy customer. And you know what else is funny? Execute has two meanings. It has three meanings, and some of them are. There are very few words in the English language that have dual meanings that are the polar opposites, that are actually the opposites of one another. Sanction is one. Sanction is to prohibit something, and it's to authorize something. Execute is another one that I like to refer to every now and again, because it could mean to carry out something, to execute a mission, and it could also mean to kill somebody. If you were to come out and play this stupid game that you idiots want to play and say, well, it's got two meanings, so you're the nefarious actor for assuming the worst meaning, go out and say that word and somebody and see how fast you have a freaking knock on your door. You think you're smart because you are a bunch of stupid kids that never grew up because you never had parents to maybe give you a little, well, I don't say smack on the bum. You can't do that anymore, nor do I even believe that. You never had parents to tell you, no, you don't get to say that. You don't get to treat people like they're idiots. Execute. See what happens, peeps. It's got two meanings. Who's say? So that's what he does today. And now the internet has been ablaze because it should be. And by the way, when I said that I went down Comey's Twitter feed the entire time I went down, I noticed a lot of patterns. Virtue signaling. First of all, I noticed a bunch of patterns. This man's fucking crazy. He's actually, I believe he's crazy. I believe he's psychotic. Dude doesn't forget a Pride Month. Maybe I don't know if he has a kid on the gender spectrum. I don't know if he has a gay kid. There are gay people in my family. Nobody feels the need to virtue signal this hard. Oh, I guess he is a proud parent. I mean, maybe he is. Who the hell knows? Oh, they got love on their socks. They love. Oh, look at that. The pride flag, the 2S LGBTQIA+ under the American flag. Proud dad. What does this one say? Fidelity, bravery, integrity. Oh, the FBI. And proud of it. And then we got trans people belong. This man is the man who virtue signals outwardly because he's, I believe, quite clearly evil internally. Now then, the question is only whether or not it was intended. Whether or not people are making too big of a deal of it. I'll address the Psychotic tweet from 2022 in a second. But I want to bring this one up here. Did we bring up? I brought up the Krasensteins already. Right? I got to close these down. Get Trump out of office. Nothing violent about it, except for the alternate meaning. Yeah. Oh, liars. Hold on. Let me make sure. I think I might be. So this one we got. This is Comey. He deserves to be arrested. Full stop. Now, some people of good faith and sincerely saying, well, what's the difference between this and when Jack Posobiec back in the day said, he said the same thing. I had to double check this to make sure that the tweet was real. You can't ignore arguments that you don't like. It's coming from George Gammon. We know he's a good faith actor. And the tweet is real. You can go look it up. 8646, January 29th, 2022. Why aren't you calling for Jack to be arrested, Viva? You're a hypocrite. First of all, I didn't see it at the time. I don't approve of that tweet even today. Full stop. There you have it. What is materially different, however, from the circumstances? Well, there's quite a few things that are materially different, actually, and I fleshed them out to George Gammon in a good faith response to his tweet. And you can agree or disagree with my assessment, If you disagree with it, it's because you're wrong. No one would defend this tweet. That said, materially different. Why? Jack is known as a shit poster, often posts satirical, ironic posts, many of which trick people. Like he says, it's a good thing no president ever accepted a gift from a foreign government before. Then he actually gets community noted, and they think they've owned Jack Posobiec. When they community note his post, well, he did a funny one with Obama. Either way, he's known for that. His tweet, in my view, was ostensibly a response to the 8645 to say, hey, well, you guys think you can do it. Well, we can do it too. Third thing is Jack is not a politician, nor was he a former head of the FBI. Whatever his role he had in intelligence back in the day, he's not the former director of the FBI. And remember what Chuck Schumer had to say about the FBI, 6 ways from Sunday to get back at you. One of which is throwing out violent dog whistles on the interwebs to motivate and mobilize their violent Antifa terrorist elements of the left, the brown shirts. And the fifth, and I think the most important, Jack's tweet was not done in the context of multiple failed assassination attempts on Trump, one of which left 1 man dead, 2 grievously injured. Corey Comparatori, we should never forget his name. Considering Comey's criminal past and the fact that his FBI has 6 ways from Sunday of getting back at you, they cannot be compared, the two of them. And I also should have, I added it here. Yeah, should also add, by the way, all right, you think it was criminal? Who was the DOJ when Jack Posobiec tweeted that? It was Biden's. If they seriously thought that there was anything questionable about that, it was up to them to do something. I don't know what the statute of limitations is on a tweet, but it was up to them. They did nothing. I'll defer to their better judgment because I think I agree with it. Not the same thing as Jack Comey, as the hell is his first name? James Comey, tweeting that out. Another thing that people don't seem to be appreciating, you lefty tards, you guys set the standard. It's like we've all forgotten about Douglas Mackey got convicted for a meme. Election interference, or whatever, voter, it was not voter intimidation, voter suppression. He got convicted for a meme. These are your rules, and you shall now live by them. James Comey should be arrested, and he should be charged. Let him avail himself of his defenses. I didn't know what it meant. I want to see his freaking phone. Arrest him. Raid his house like they did Roger Stone, 6 a.m. Raid him like they did James O'Keefe. Seize his cell phone and look on his cell phone. Geolocate where that image was taken because it's there. Oh, what? That image was taken in his backyard of his beachfront property? Oh, it would seem that James Comey is a dirty liar, like I suspect he is. Oh, what? There's other pictures of the same thing from different angles? Footprints around it? Arrest him. Seize his cell phone. Mirror the image, mirror the data on that, and see if he in fact took that picture himself, if he in fact set that up himself, and if he in fact knew damn well what 86 meant because he was the head of the FBI, and whether or not he lied to the public after having put out that dog whistle call to violence to harm Donald Trump, who survived by the grace of God 1 assassination attempt. Second one didn't get a time to get his shot off, and there was a third one that people attribute in there that I cannot speak to from personal knowledge. So arrest him. And it's not a question of free speech, you dumbasses out there. Free speech never includes threats. Now, admittedly, this is not a Brandenburg level rise to that type of constitutionally protected threat, but I didn't make the rules. They set the standards. You want to arrest Douglas Mackey and convict him for a meme? You want to go raid that 75-year-old disabled blind man's house for a Facebook post and summarily execute him? Those are the rules that they've set up. So arrest James Comey, seize his cell phone, look at what's on it, and charge him. And if he's got a good defense, hey, if I pull a Nancy Pelosi, I'll say he has a chance to prove his innocence in front of a jury of his peers. I'll even say he's presumed innocent. He'll raise that defense. I didn't know what it meant, which makes him the most obtuse moron of an FBI director, which is possible. Or more possible, he is a corrupt piece of shit who knew exactly what he was doing, thought it would be funny, trying to sell his stupid ass book, which has to do with using your platform to incite violence online. And we'll see what a jury has to say. David, Comey's daughter is the head of the prosecutor of the Diddy trial. Why, thank you for allowing me to segue seamlessly into the second part of this. By the way, I didn't mean to make fun of you. I'm sincerely thanking you because that's the next part of this call it a 1 hour rant. I said yesterday, go watch the video. Part of me thinks what's his name? I'm going to say James O'Keefe. James Comey wants to get arrested. Part of me thinks that he wants to get arrested. Part of me knows that his lefty sycophants want him to get arrested so that they can then say, look at what a tyrant Trump is. Where did I say this? Who put a, here we go, this guy right here. Protect Kamala Harris. You won't believe the level of idiocy. Protect Kamala Harris handle on Twitter. What does it say here? Disavow Trump 20. What the hell does that mean? I got to see something here. When is this account created? 2016. Okay. Nancy Pelosi. They put out a tweet that says, there is a legitimate chance that James Comey will be arrested in the coming hours for a post that was not a threat. Thank you for prejudging the conclusions. It was a threat. So I don't care about your stupid opinion. There's a chance he might get arrested in the coming hours. Good. Good riddance to bad rubbish. This is an important reminder that the Trump administration will find any excuse to threaten their political opponents. This mother effer literally just threatened the president of the United States of America, summoning any one of their radical lunatic sycophants to go out and 86-47. Any excuse? Here's an idea. Don't threaten the president and you might not get arrested. I hope he gets arrested. He genuinely deserves to get arrested. And I'm not anti-free speech. Period. Free speech doesn't cover certain things, and there are consequences to your exercising what you think are your rights to free speech. All I'm saying right now is these are their standards. They will live by them. Part of me thinks that he wanted to get arrested. He's going to sell his book. Maybe he'll hawk off that shit book that anybody's going to buy. The left gets to use it as further evidence as to what a tyrant Trump is. And if we want to play like 3D chess, like a father sacrificing himself for his daughter, it's a way that maybe to the mind of an idiot child that has never grown up, they'll think, well, now Pam Bondi can't fire, what's her name? Maurene Comey. Now, Maurene Comey, his daughter, has protection because any reprisals against Maurene Comey is going to be payback, political blowback, targeted reprisals for the acts of her father. Because do you know who Maurene Comey is? You do now because we've sort of let the cat out of the bag. Maurene Comey was not the lead prosecutor. We don't want to oversell it. She was a lead prosecutor, not just in the P. Diddy case, but also in the Ghislaine Maxwell case. But not just in the Ghislaine Maxwell case, also in the Epstein case. She was a lead prosecutor in Epstein, a man who totally took his own life. A man who was convicted of or pleaded guilty to sex trafficking and yet seems to have only been trafficking people to himself. Died because the cameras went out, the security guards were asleep, somehow managed to hang himself despite being on suicide watch, although the coroner says that the break in the muscle or whatever, the clavicle here was more in line with strangulation than hanging. Set all that aside, the man died, bam, never had any one of the clients to whom he was procuring the trafficking of the sex. Maurene Comey, James Comey's daughter, was one of the lead prosecutors in that case. She was one of the lead prosecutors in the Ghislaine Maxwell case. Ghislaine Maxwell is now serving 25 years for, I believe, sex trafficking as well. We don't know. Apparently, she also didn't have any clients. They were just trafficking sex to nobody. Let me see. I want to make sure I get the right articles for the right time. That one's 2021. Yeah, let's start off with that one. Who is Maurene Comey? It's so amazing how much more sense life makes when you now go back and you read all of these things. This is from November 2021. Who is Maurene Comey? James Comey's daughter is lead prosecutor in Ghislaine Maxwell's trial. A federal prosecutor working on the case of Ghislaine Maxwell, which is set to go to trial Monday, is the daughter of former FBI Director James Comey. My goodness, it's amazing. Can she now get her ass fired off of all of these cases? What in the name of sweet holy hell is she doing on the PD? How does she still have a job for the federal government? How the hell has Pam Bondi, Cash Patel, whomever controls the purse strings, not fired her and sent her packing? Maurene Comey, an assistant U.S. attorney for the second most corrupt district in America, Southern District of New York, is one of the lead prosecutors in the criminal case against Maxwell and has been picked to hold a similar role in the case of the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein prior to his death in 2019. As the child sex trafficking trial of Epstein associate Maxwell is scheduled to begin November 29, attending now Attention now turns to the prosecutors in the case, which includes Comey and Assistant U.S. Attorney Alex Rossmiller and Allison Gainford Moe. That's a really terrible name. Maxwell is charged with sex trafficking. She pleaded not guilty. Yada yada. She got sentenced to 25 years in prison. The 32-year-old Harvard Law School graduate has been involved in a number of high-profile cases, including against gynecologist Robert Haddon, who was accused of sexually assaulting as many as 70 women. She also worked in cases of embezzlement, yada, 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 according to Law and Crime. Daughter of the former FBI director James Comey and Patrice Failer. She is one of 6 children and is married to Lucas Issacharoff, a Harvard Law School graduate. I don't care about any of this. Comey was famously fired by former President Donald Trump in 2017. Why hasn't the daughter famously been fired? She spent time in his years as a clerk for Loretta Preska. I don't know who these people are offhand, but I'm sure other people do. Maxwell's trial was originally scheduled. Yeah, fine. So she's a lead prosecutor in Ghislaine Maxwell, after having been a lead prosecutor in Jeffrey Epstein, and both of whom were sex traffickers, seemingly to nobody. Do we have this one here? Let me see. This is Hindanistu Two Times. I wonder, this one is from May 16, 2025. Hindanistu Two Times I have to take with a grain of salt because I remember them burning me once. So we'll read it with that in mind. Who's Maurene Comey? It's so funny. Like, who's Maurene Comey? Well, 4 years ago, you told us who she is. It seems that some of us forgot. Some of us weren't paying attention. And now we're starting to connect a whole hell of a lot of dots. Her dad just called for 86ing 47, but he didn't know what it meant. Who's Maurene Comey? James Comey's daughter, DOJ position questioned after his 8647 Instagram post. With ex-FBI director James Comey being investigated for his cryptic 8647 Instagram post, his DOJ prosecutor daughter, Maurene Comey, is also facing the heat. She should have been out on her ass on January 21st, period. What in the name of sweet holy hell is Pam Bondi doing? Some people are going to say this further confirms that Pam Bondi is in on it, that there's an Epstein cover-up. And now there's a P. Diddy cover-up because, lo and behold, P. Diddy is accused of sex trafficking to himself only. You know, he was accused of having cameras. It was P. Diddy, cameras in every room, running something of an extortion abuse ring to nobody but himself. And lo and behold, the same faces magically appear. Maurene Comey for the third time, the Holy Trinity or the Unholy Trinity. Ever since James Comey has been investigated in the spotlight, yada, yada, yada. Okay, his daughter is also under scrutiny. Investigative journalist Laura Loomer was one of the first to point out, amid this ongoing controversy, that James Comey's daughter is still working at the Department of Justice. Loomer questioned through her tweet why James Comey's daughter is still not being fired at the DOJ by Attorney General yet. Now the voice is echoing across social media, with users saying she needs to be fired. Lock up her father and fire her ass, period. Not hard. And not unreasonable. Not only not unreasonable, very reasonable. Lead prosecutor in the case where your convict gets Epstein. The other one gets convicted. We don't know who the hell they were trafficking to. And now it looks like someone's partaking in a third cover-up of the P. Diddy. Comey's daughter is Maureen, one of 8 prosecutors for the U.S. Attorney's Office in Sean Diddy Combs' sex trial. She is part of this female-driven U.S. Attorney's Office assigned to the high-profile Diddy Combs case. Other women in the team include Emily. I don't care. Netizens are now saying below Loomer's post, she's intentionally sinking Diddy's case. She hasn't even started proving how he was involved in a criminal enterprise, and she hasn't dropped the names of any celebrities. She should be enough to fire her. No stranger to high-profile cases. Ghislaine Maxwell, and we've already seen this. Okay. What else do we got? Who's Maureen? Apart from Sean Diddy Combs' case, her father is currently being investigated for a cryptic post, which is being yada, yada, yada. Instagram post. We don't need to go over the whole Instagram post. That's Maurene Comey. Does, what did I do here? Tell me I didn't shut everything down. No, I'm still here. Does James Comey think that he's making his daughter fireproof now? Because if she gets fired, it'll be unfair reprisals for his threat against the president, Donald John Trump? I don't think so. Fire her ass, arrest James Comey, have him have his day in court. Oh, and by the way, pick a good venue. Don't pick New York. Pick, I don't know, somewhere in, maybe I was going to say somewhere in Texas, but maybe Austin's not the right place. Let's see. Tennessee? New Orleans? Pick Louisiana. Give him a trial in Louisiana. These are threats made on the internet. Do it in Florida. I'm not sure how good that would be, but do it in Florida. That is Maurene Comey.